welcome you all here today. I'd like to start by acknowledging the Gadigal of the Eora Nation, the traditional owners of the land on which we're joining you today, and I pay my respects to their elders past and present. And as always, we like to extend a special welcome to anyone of First Nations heritage who's joining us today or watching the replay today. So, as I said, it's a great pleasure to introduce our event today. For those of you who haven't met me yet, I'm Rob Koh from Morgan Stanley, and the gentleman over here who'll be speaking next is Hugh Fraser from GLIO, who I suspect everybody here knows and loves. And just for the speakers in the audience, Fraser will be helping out with time management and kind of signalling to you when it's time to move on as we progress towards the all-important drinks at the end of the function. So this event is always a great pleasure to host. There's always lots of fun and lots of lively discussion. Just thinking about who is in the room, collectively I suspect this group of people manage the wealth of a small nation, about $1 trillion at last count, and also run assets and businesses that transport millions of people and provide energy to millions of people. So it is actually kind of important what we do as well. So having said that, the toilets are through the lift well back that way if you need them. For those of you who are on panels, there is a microphone arrangement, so please make sure that you go to the back of the room and get mic'd up ahead of your panel, and then we'll be reasonably informal. So when it's roughly time for your panel to come up, you'll just come to the front, and then we'll have the discussions. I should also say that today's event is being recorded. I believe there is one, maybe two members of the media in the room. I haven't been able to find you yet, but whoever you are, if you could please, as per usual, just check in with us if you are intending to use a quote in any publication for that, if you choose to do so. Okay, so that's probably enough from me, and I'll now hand over to Fraser to provide an update on GLIO. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Rob. I'm going to keep things on track, so I'm going to hammer through my sort of 15 minutes of slides in like 4 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to go quick. On the membership, 17 members, grows too slowly. You all know what I think about this. Needs to go faster. At the moment, we are 70 members. In fact, no. At lunch, we got another member, Atlas Artaria, in. Yes. So 71 members. Target in 5 years, it's got to be 150 members to be a truly representative organisation. And by that, I mean, you know, our enterprise value, we've got to represent 3 trillion, and investors' AUM, that's got to be closer to 300 billion. It's ambitious, I know, but I need your help to make that happen. Everybody in this room will benefit from a growth in membership. On AUM growth, we track confidentially and individually all of the managers in the space AUM. We've done that since about 2019. If you look back to 2010, AUM amongst the dedicated listed managers, that was about 17 billion. By the time we were established in 2016, that was nearly 70 billion. And at the end of last year, estimated were around about 155 billion. So more or less year-on-year growth. Where do we need to be, again, in 5 years' time? I think we need to grow the asset class to over 300 billion in AUM. Everyone in the room benefits, again. Managers manage more, and that capital finds its way onto the shareholder registers of the listed infrastructure companies, and that is long-term, sticky capital. It's capital that understands the business, and that's important. Okay, how do we raise awareness for the asset class? We're just over 5,000 active contacts. We manage those pretty carefully. It's about 60% buy side, so that's the managers, the pension funds, and the sovereign wealth funds. The rest of the corporates and the sell side. What do we do? We're sending out regular information. You should all receive it. If you don't, give me your card and you will receive it going forward. The weekly mail, it goes out on a Saturday. Probably nobody in a corporate can send an email on a Saturday, but I can. So you get that on a Saturday, and it's picked up and read by about 50% of the people that we send it to. So it's a phenomenal open rate. It's also the same with the monthly mail as well. First trading day of the month, we send out the monthly stats, and the open rate there is over 50%. We're doing seminars on an annual basis here, Sydney. London, we do July the 3rd, and New York in September as well, and we do lunches, Stockholm. We did one in Zurich at the end of last year. LinkedIn, we're pushing all kinds of stuff on LinkedIn as well. We have 1,500 followers for GLIO. I also push it on my personal account as well, which has 22,000 followers, unbelievably. Last thing to note here, the GLIO journal, you should all have a hard copy. Please take it home. It costs an absolute fortune to produce, so please take that home. High quality material. We send the hard copies out to about 1,000 contacts. Importantly, 300 of those are the CIOs of the top 300 pension funds. So it really hits a targeted audience. And lastly, we're videotaping all of the sessions, and we'll drop them on our YouTube channel next week as well. Okay, what's the messages? Well, firstly, listed infra. Over the medium to long term, it gives you infrastructure performance. This is a graph that you've probably all seen. The red range, that's unlisted infrastructure, and that's a mix of Preqin, which tends to be the top of the range, and it's Cambridge, which tends to be the bottom of the range. What do? We just draw a simple line through the middle, the midpoint, which is the red line, and the FT Wilshire GLIO index is the blue line. We lay that over, and you can see over the long term, it tracks unlisted infrastructure. Round about similar annual performances, around about 10%, and they both outperform global equities, around about 8.5%. Do a lot of stuff on blending. These are our efficient frontiers. No matter how you slice and dice it, listed infra makes up part of an infrastructure allocation using both listed and unlisted. You see the different proportions. The Preqin, it's around about 25% listed. The midpoint, 35% listed. And Cambridge, the lower performer on the chart, it's around about 55% listed. So no matter how you slice and dice it, listed should be part of that allocation. We also do a lot of work on valuations as well. The red line is the weighted average of the last 20 deals in the infrastructure space, core infrastructure space. So we cover, it's around about 450 deals since 2007. And what you see, the average is about 15 times EV/EBITDA over that period. If you compare that with listed infrastructure, the blue line, it's around about 11 times on the listed infra side. So I would argue considerably cheaper than individual deals. And I know Dan is going to touch on this in his allocation panel next. I've got to say it, it's a good opportunity to push the Financial Times Wilshire GLIO index that we launched in February. It's a nice strapline that we've put together. It's really an index that's built by the asset class for the asset class, built by experts for the experts in the asset class. And there's a nice quote there from the CEO of Wilshire Indices, Mark Makepeace, who was actually the founder of FTSE back in the day. Okay, and what are the benefits of the index? Well, very simply, we've got an expert group behind the index. The index is governed by that group, and it means that any developments that we make, we do so under the umbrella of those advisors. So It's very clear that we lean on the advisors for the development of the index. We put those into infrastructure groups and sectors, which a lot of the other index providers don't do. We're looking at EBITDA as the main metric to select the core infrastructure companies, a minimum of 66% EBITDA from relevant infrastructure. We're about to put out to our expert group a series of cap versions for feedback. So if you're on that expert group, you'll see those. If you want to be on the expert group, give me your details. There's all kinds of customization possible as well. So we can do the standard index X renewables, for example. We can do the standard index plus data centers, for example. And a great point to mention, as part of the negotiation process with FT Wilshire, we negotiated that all GLIO members receive a 25% discount on whatever you currently pay your providers. So that's significant savings for you guys going forward. And you can also tie that in to a long-term pricing structure, so there's no surprises. Okay, and last slide, my side. Well, I won't go through these, but these are the breakdown of the developed index. As launched, you see heavily weighted to the utilities, transportation, and again, I guess that's where our cap versions come in going forward. I'm absolutely bang on time. Dan, I'd like to introduce you and your panel to the stage.